State of the Union with John King, CNN Sunday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Part of this chapter in our history is the 9/11 attacks, which of course were hatched in Afghanistan. And the president is closer to making this big decision he has to make about how many troops. When he makes that decision, will he lay out for the American people not only the rationale for the decision he has made, but an exit strategy for Afghanistan? If you travel the country, as I do all the time, people keep saying 8 years later, how long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? How many lives will be lost? Will the president give us an exit strategy?
Well, I think that is a concern, and it's obviously one of the factors the president is thinking through. We've been there for 8 years. It's a long time, and we have to keep focus on what our purpose was in the first place. Our purpose was to disrupt and dismantle and destroy Al Qaeda. That remains our purpose. But obviously, we can't make an open-ended commitment. And we want to do this in a way that maximizes our efforts against Al Qaeda, but within the framework of bringing our troops home at some point. And the president's made that clear in all these discussions. There has to be a framework to this decision, but we're getting close. It's been a good process.
As you know, conservatives have been critical of the president's policy review, saying, why is it taking so long? The former Massachusetts governor and Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney gave a speech this weekend in which he said, not only why is it taking so long for the president to decide, but he also said, why is David Axelrod, his top political advisor, involved in these deliberations? Let's listen.
I find it incomprehensible and inexcusable that this president invites David Axelrod into national security meetings. Polls and politics have no place at that table. He is the commander-in-chief. What has he been doing? Do you realize he carried out more than 30 campaign visits in this last season for various Democrats? While he can't make up his mind on Afghanistan or have enough time to meet with generals, he's out there campaigning.
Well, let's take them in order. Why does David Axelrod deserve a seat at that table, and why is it taking so long?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. David Axelrod doesn't have a seat at that table. I've observed these discussions because, as I am today, I have to help communicate the message of the administration, and so it's helpful for me to hear. I've not said a word in any of those meetings. Now, let's take the second part. Governor Romney has to choose one argument or another. Either he has to say he's not paying attention, or he has to say he's taking too long because he has been involved in a rigorous review. The president has had hours and hours and hours of meetings with his military commanders, with his national security team, to run through every aspect of this in order to get it right. And we've seen in the past what happens when we don't do that, when we don't do the necessary preparations. And he is determined to get Afghanistan right. It's something that Secretary Gates supports. It's something that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff supports. General McChrystal has been supportive of this process, and I know that Governor Romney has never had responsibility for any decision akin to this, and so he just may not be familiar with all that it entails. But I think the American people are being well served by a process that is assiduous, in which every aspect of this is considered, because after all, lives of American servicemen are involved here. Enormous investment on the part of the American people. We ought to get it right.